I didn't answer the phone right away. It buzzed on the kitchen counter while the kettle clicked off, steam thinning into the quiet. I let it ring because I already knew who it was and because the silence felt earned. 5 days earlier, I'd walked out with a backpack and my laptop, and the house had swallowed the absence like it always did, politely, until it couldn't anymore. When I finally picked up, I didn't say hello. I listened. The memory that came first wasn't the call, though. It was the sound of keys. They made a clean, confident jingle when my brother shook them, the metal catching the light from the tree. The Dodge Avenger sat outside, red paint still wearing its dealership shine, like it had been waiting all its life for this exact moment. My parents stood on either side of him, proud in a way that needed witnesses. "You deserve everything," my father said, clapping him on the shoulder. My mother smiled and nodded, already emotional. "We're so proud of you." When it was my turn, my mother handed me a small envelope, light, too light to contain surprise. Inside was a $10 gift card, the kind you buy at the grocery store checkout when you forget someone's birthday. She said it gently, as if softness could do the work of fairness. "You don't deserve more than that." No one laughed. No one flinched. It wasn't said in anger. That was the part that settled deepest. It was said as a fact. I laughed then. Not loud. Not bitter. Just enough to acknowledge something had finally aligned. "I hope you still think that," I said, folding the card back into the envelope. "When you lose what I've been paying for." The room went still in that way families do when they decide not to hear something. My brother looked confused, already halfway back to admiring his car. My parents exchanged a glance that said, "We'll deal with this later." Later never came. I left that night. Not dramatically. No speeches. I unplugged the router I paid for and set it on the counter. I left my spare key in a bowl by the door. I sent one text, "I won't be covering bills anymore. Take care," and turned my phone off. I slept on a friend's couch and woke up clear. It's strange how fast a life can re-label you once you stop participating in it. I wasn't angry in those days after. I was methodical. I canceled subscriptions. I transferred automatic payments back into my own account. I updated my address. The things I'd handled quietly for years surfaced like exposed wiring, suddenly visible, and suddenly someone else's problem. I thought about all the times I'd stepped in without being asked. Rent shortfalls, utilities, insurance deductibles, late fees, groceries when my parents' hours got cut. None of it had been a sacrifice in my mind. It was just what you did when you were the reliable one. Reliability, I learned, is easy to confuse with obligation. On the third day, my brother texted me a single question mark. I didn't answer. On the fourth, my mother sent a message that said, "We need to talk." I didn't answer that either. On the fifth day, the call came. When I finally spoke, it was only to say, "What happened?" My mother's voice cracked immediately. She talked about notices, about the internet being shut off, about the car being towed because the insurance hadn't been renewed. She said the landlord was threatening fees. She said they hadn't realized how much I'd been handling. I let her talk, not because I wanted to punish her, but because interrupting would have turned it into a negotiation. And I wasn't negotiating anymore. My father took the phone. His voice was steadier, but the words were worse. "We need you to help fix this." There it was. Not "we were wrong," not "we hurt you." Just "we need you." "I'm not fixing anything," I said. My voice sounded unfamiliar, calm, almost distant. I stopped participating. There was a pause. Then something official cut through the background noise, a recorded message echoing from somewhere in the house, reminding them of payment deadlines and consequences. Authority doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't have to, my father sighed. "We didn't think." "I know," I said. "That's the problem." My mother came back on, quieter now. "We didn't mean it the way it sounded." I looked around the kitchen that wasn't mine anymore. The counter was clear. The air was still. "You said it the way you meant it. You just didn't expect it to cost anything." Silence stretched. Not the charged kind. The honest kind. "So," I added because it needed saying once, cleanly, "tell me again." Who doesn't deserve more? No, one answered, not right away. When my father finally spoke, his voice had changed, not softened, recalibrated. What do you want? I considered that, not in terms of demands, but boundaries. I want distance, and I want you to handle your own responsibilities. I'm not angry. I'm just done. After we hung up, I didn't feel victorious. I felt lighter and a little sad and strangely professional, like I'd concluded a long, unpaid contract. They didn't call back that day, or the next. Weeks later, my mother sent a message that didn't ask for anything. It said, "We're figuring it out." I read it once and put the phone down. I don't know what happens next. Maybe they'll learn. Maybe they won't. Maybe my brother will notice the difference between praise and support when the shine wears off. What I know is this love that only exists while you're useful isn't love. It's a transaction you forgot to price. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't take revenge. I just left. And the silence that followed told the truth better than I ever could.